creating rapport. There's a number of different ways that we can create rapport. One of the best ways, which is overlooked quite a lot, is finding common ground. So when people think of building rapport or creating rapport, people think of body language and stuff like that. And that's all in there. You know, body language is all in there. But there's actually so much more to it than just body language. In rapport, there's something called mirroring body language, which you may have come across in the past. You know, if somebody's sitting down, you know, arms folded, leaning towards the front, then you sit down, arms folded, leaning towards the front. If somebody's sitting back with their legs crossed, you sit back with the legs crossed, and you mirror their behaviour, okay? That helps with building rapport, but there's so much more to it than just body language when it comes to rapport. Yes, of course, if you go in and all your body language is all like this and you're a million miles away from them, and you know, then you create a barrier with that. And you know, I just don't want to insult anybody's intelligence today. When it comes to building rapport, you can mirror their behaviour. It's quite a common one, but actually there's so much more to it. So finding a common ground with somebody immediately starts to build rapport. This is why us Brits like doing small talk. Okay, we like talking about the weather, for argument's sake. You know, the standing joke around the world when I've worked in other countries is weather. Brits talk about weather all the time. Aaron just said mirroring can be useful NLP, but if you're caught mirroring somebody, you can instantly destroy the rapport. Yeah. Do you know what, Aaron? It's a really good point, that is, and I've seen it happen as well. I've seen somebody been that focused on making sure you're mirroring the person. The moment the person changes position, they change position really quickly. And it's kind of a giveaway, isn't it, Aaron? I think that's your point. If you do it too quickly or not naturally or unnaturally, depending on which way you want to say that, it can be worse. You're absolutely right. So look, if somebody, you can't really see because I can't really sit down here at the moment, but if somebody's sitting down and they're leaning forward, then you can, you know, quite naturally lean forward as they are. If they sit back in their chair, you don't immediately sit back in your chair, you just leave it a few seconds and then maybe you start to kind of lean back. I start doing every fourth or fifth action. Absolutely, that's another way of doing it, Aaron. So you kind of like, they make one or two, yeah, or in your case, three, and then on the fourth one, you mirror their action. Absolutely. So it can't be false. It can't be forced, because as Aaron's rightly pointed out there, it becomes blatantly obvious what people are doing, and then all of a sudden, it becomes quite awkward. And yes, you can destroy the rapport, as Aaron's rightly said. Thanks for that, Aaron. Really useful point. So taking body language out of the equation for a moment, finding common ground I was talking about, wasn't it? Which is why us Brits like talking about the weather and small talk and stuff like that. You know, oh, isn't it a bit cold today? Oh yeah, it is a bit cold, isn't it? Yeah. All of a sudden now you agree on something. Yeah, so by that little bit of a chat, you agree on something, which means you find common ground, and all of a sudden you're able to start looking to build rapport at that point. Of course, sometimes that doesn't happen, does it? You go, oh, it's a bit chilly this morning, and somebody go, yeah, but you know what, it's really fresh, I like it like that. Now you've got to backtrack, because now you're going, oh yeah, no, I like it fresh, just a bit nippy kind of. All of a sudden you've got to backtrack. So it can work well, or it can go against you, depending on what common ground you're trying to find. Now, in negotiation skill, common ground is key, full stop. But it's more common ground specifically to do with what you're influencing about. Okay, so I'll say that one more time. When you're negotiating or influencing, if you're trying to find common ground, it's normally common to actually what you're dealing with. Okay, so this morning I've had to send let's say a negotiation email to a partner of mine, a kind of a strategic partner of another company that I work with sometimes. They want something, I want something else, and we're trying to find some kind of common ground with it. So it's normally about the subject matter that the common ground is about. What I'm suggesting here, in order to build rapport early on, is try and find any common ground. Now that could be the weather, it could be, oh, I like your watch, yeah, I've got one of them kind of thing, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but that's the kind of first thing in order to start building that rapport. Then we move on to be likable. Okay, and I know this might sound a bit silly, but if people like you, they tend to trust you quicker as well. So this is the session on how to be likable. That might be another session that we have to run. But if you are likable, if people get on with you, if you are approachable, yeah, and anybody can be approachable regardless of what their profile is, their personality profile. If you are approachable and likable, people will trust you more effectively. It's as simple as that, okay? It's certainly a technique. You're not going to like everybody that you work with ever. It won't happen. Hopefully you like most of them, yeah, but you're not going to like everybody. You might not even like some of your customers, for argument's sake. But you have to be likable. Martin's put, sounds like manipulative behaviour. Yes, you're right, Martin. It is. That's what influencing skills are. You are manipulating a situation in order to influence a situation. Now, the one thing, I would say two things on that, Martin. One, yes, you are right. That does sound like it's manipulative. But I suppose I would look at it this way. For me, there is a difference between influence and manipulation, okay? And there's one thing that divides those two, okay? I'm glad you've asked it, Martin, actually, because I knew it was going to get asked during this session, okay? There is a big difference for me between manipulation and influencing skills, and there's only one difference, and the difference is intent, okay? The difference is intent. So if your intent is for the benefit of the organization, the customer, you're trying to do the right thing, then you are trying to influence somebody. If your intent is to get out of it every single less drop just so you're happy and it all just means you get what you want, then you would argue that's manipulation on the back of it. And the one thing that I can't control is people's intent. So what I can do is I can give you these skills and weapons, and you can use them to influence, or that you can use them to manipulate, because you can use them for both, okay? I can't control your intent. I would just hope that your intent would be to actually go and do the right thing. So Martin, when I say be likable because people trust you, I mean be likable genuinely because you like people and people like you. I don't mean I'm going to be likable just to get out of them what I need to get out of them. That would be manipulation, in my opinion, because the intent wouldn't be right. So I hope that helps, Martin, and I hope it probably helps everybody on the session today, because there will be some people, it won't be just Martin that will have that. Before we finish, that question would have come up, full stop. Because it always does when I do influencing skills. People go, well, it sounds very manipulative. Well, yeah, it is. But what intent are you doing it with? Are you doing it for the right intent for you, your department, the organisation, your customers, society? Or are you doing it solely for you? And are you being selfish with that? And does that mean that other people may be impacted in a bad way because of that? I would suggest that intent separates those two things. But like I say, Martin, even though I wish I could, I can't control anybody's intent, but you can use these tools for influence or manipulation. I'm going to go with influence for the day and positive intent rather than the other way around, and I would hope everybody takes that from the session today and also takes that away and applies it going forward as well. I'm just checking numbers. Oh yeah, good, we're up to nearly 30, brilliant. Be likable. If people like you, they trust you. By the way, Martin, I don't think you've got an issue with this. I've always found you very likable, by the way, and I'm not saying that sarcastically. I mean it genuinely. Be likable. People will trust you more effectively, and again, if your intent is right, happy days. Don't tell people what to do when you're trying to build rapport, okay? It's much better to ask questions, which we'll come on to in a moment. People generally don't like being told what to do. Okay, they don't really like being told what to do, so we try and stay away from that as much as we can. Even in leadership, really, yes, there's times where things are business or health and safety critical, and you need to tell people what to do. But not many people like being told what to do. They like thinking for themselves, and it doesn't really build great rapport on the back of it. Okay, and try and build lasting relationships. What I mean by that is you move people up to a level of trust in your relationship with them genuinely going forward. The more trust you have, the more rapport you create straight away, the easier it is then to influence other people. If you've got a trusted confidant, if you like, if you've got a trusted person that you bounce ideas off or talk to when you feel down or whatever, or you've got a difficult situation and you need somebody's input, you might go to those people and you might listen to them more than you would listen to somebody you met yesterday, for argument's sake. And why? Because over time you've built rapport, you've built a relationship with them, and you've built trust. So, number one, create rapport, but it's a little bit more in depth than just mirroring body language, okay? But as Aaron has rightly said, if you want any info on mirroring, type in mirroring NLP, and you'll get loads of information on that. But to be honest, it's great if you can do that. Brilliant, yeah, that makes sense. I understand that. But actually, if we spend our time doing this much, you create rapport quicker, but more importantly, for longer. Okay, it's more sustainable if you do some of those things.